So we started the recording. Shalom, everybody, and thank you, everybody, for joining, and especially our guests, Mauricio and Noam. My name is Yair, and before we get started, just a brief introduction. This session is going to be recorded, so you can watch it later or send it to other people who are interested. And all of these sessions or meetings are between 60 minutes to 75 minutes. Usually it's more like 75 minutes because there's a lot of interest and questions from the audience. So all of you feel free to ask your questions. We can't see you, but on the Q&A below the screen, there's a section that you're going to write your comments or questions, and we're going to monitor them.
Just quickly, before you go on, regarding the questions, if you can, please write your name and your location, whether you're in Israel or Europe, United States, what city you are from. It's just kind of nice to know.
And this session, of course, is going to be in English. So like I said, my name is Yair. The three of us, Daphne, Michal, and I, live in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I represent two organizations, Hope for Israel Alliance, which is an international group of expats, mostly Israelis, living in the States, Canada, in Australia, really all over the world. And all that we do is basically fight anti-Semitism wherever it is and support Israel. The second organization is the AJMA, or the American Jewish Medical Association. Both Daphne and I are healthcare providers and part of this very important organization because there's a lot of things that are happening in healthcare that is really concerning in the United States and the world related to anti-Semitism. And just one word about the AJMA, I must say that our CEO, her name is Michelle Stravitz. She's a very close friend of ours and an amazing person. And I just wanted to offer and wish condolences because her father just passed away this morning. So Michelle, if you watch this in the future, and anybody from AJMA, we are very sorry for your loss. שלא תדעו עוד צער וזיכרונו לברכה של אהרון מרקוס. So with that, I'm going to pass and I'm going to introduce and pass it to Michal and Daphne. Michal and Daphne, for anybody in the greater Philadelphia, everybody knows them because they have been carrying the torch of fighting and doing everything in their reality and in their anything that they can do at all to fight and bring the hostages back as soon as possible. They lead so many rallies and they do so many different activities, including arts and kites and candles, and they are absolutely amazing. So Michal and Daphne, thank you for all that you're doing, and please.
All right, we just again wanted to thank everybody for being here, and thank Noam and Mauricio for willing to participate in this very important Zoom, telling us about their close loved one who have been kidnapped for now 464 days. I'll start by introducing Noam, and then Michal will introduce Mauricio. Noam Safir is the granddaughter of Shlomo Mansour. Shlomo is the oldest hostage that is being held by Hamas now, and she will tell us her story soon and from her view, and we'll answer any questions that you all have. Michal, do you want to introduce Mauricio?
Yeah, Mauricio Schneider is the brother of Margit. Margit is Shiri Bibas' mom, so he's her uncle. And the Bibas family, I'm sure everybody knows, but I'll say it again. Shiri, her husband Yarden, and their two children, Kfir and Ariel, has been kidnapped on October 7th. Kfir is now, actually next week, is marking his second birthday. And Ariel is a 5-year-old who marked his 5th birthday back in August in captivity. We're going to start by asking Mauricio to tell us a little bit about October 7th, how he learned about the event and what happened that day and the days after.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank, like Yair said, to the volunteers, and everybody has to know that you are 100% volunteers and doing this job for 464 days. I see in your tag, and I lost almost the count of the numbers. So I want to thank you for all you do, and I want to thank you for all the participants here in this webinar. And I thank you for keep fighting for us. We are Am Echad. We are the Achdut Shelanu, the unity. And I say it's like no other religion or community or anybody else in the world. So here we're fighting together, and without you, there's no way that I can continue fighting. And you give me the strength, the willingness, to keep fighting the where I am. So talking about my sister, I live in Kingston, New York. My whole entire family lives in Israel. Margit was the youngest of the 5 of us. She lived in kibbutz near Ost and married to Yossi Silverman. They grew the 2 kids growing in another kibbutz. I forgot the name, but Dana is the older sister of Shiri, and Shiri. Dana got married, she left the kibbutz, and Shiri still stayed in the kibbutz living with Yarden, Ariel, and Kfir. The morning of October 7, I get a phone call saying that things are, don't recall exactly, but turn on the TV, see what's going on in Israel, something like that it was. And I usually don't watch TV, and it was very early over here, of course. I turned on the TV, and the first thing I saw, I was able to connect the channel, the news, and first thing I saw is a thing that brings me a lot of sadness is when I saw a woman holding 2 little kids, and they were red hairs. And I started screaming like crazy, "It's Shiri, it's Shiri." I knew immediately. And then other videos started coming up and showing Shiri's face, the terror of a mother holding 2 little kids that only a mother can hold kids the way she did. And only the terrifying face that Shiri had in that video for the enjoyment of Hamas. That's what they did it, for enjoyment, for training purposes, for victory, whatever reason they had to film people suffering the way they did, even when they murder people. So the face of Shiri, if you have seen all the other pictures that you see the pictures behind in the video that you're seeing now, is Shiri has a face that always smiles. She has a face, she always smiles. And to see the face of her with the terror of her on October 7, when the terrorists had taken her away, is something that if I'm not looking outside and try to distract my brain to something else, I would be crying right now. Because it's hard to see people that you know with a terrifying face like that only terror can do. We knew nothing, and that's all we saw of her. Of my sister and brother-in-law, we didn't hear at all. My older sister that lives in Israel, she was trying to call them, and there were some communications between Dana and Shiri and with Margit and Yossi. There was really nothing, and we didn't know anything about Margit and Yossi at all. So for 2 or 3 weeks, we were hoping that Margit, my sister, was very ill. We needed to contact the Red Cross to see if they can send the medication that she needed. She said she had Parkinson's, she had high blood pressure, and so many other things that I didn't even know about them. And we tried to go to the Red Cross, and there was absolutely zero interest for the Red Cross to do anything to find the hostages. Nothing, to nobody, not only to my sister, but nobody. And the Red Cross has even been out of the picture completely. They were complaining about what Israel is doing to the Palestinians, to the kids, and all the stuff. And we can go on for over a year what Red Cross has done. And of course, it's the same story with the UN. They've been fighting with the UN. I've met with the secretary of the UN twice. And even told in his face, you should put a U in front of the UN, which means the useless United Nations. And I told him, he's a hypocrite. And I'm telling you this now, not that I want to get into politics, but actually the UN is no politics, should be serving people, the hostages, and everything else. Of my sister Margit, we heard that Yossi and Margaret were identified in a field on the way to Gaza, and they were deceased, and 2 to 3 weeks, close to 3 weeks after their bodies were buried, close to Yesha, the Moshav of Dana, and there was a new section of the kibbutz of that cemetery to only to people that had been murdered on October 7th. The story that came after what happened with, I'm going to go to Margaret and Yossi, that actually they were not found in the field. They were found inside their home, which was 100% incinerated. So I don't have to tell you what conditions, in what conditions they were found. Okay, so 464 days, we as family trying to continue a normal life, but then try to imagine me personally, how my sister died. And one thing I have said is that when my mother died, when my father died, my mother died. So you know that when somebody dies in normal circumstances, like Hashem Natan, Hashem Lakach, you know, that God gave and He take things away. It's natural ways. You die of age, of sickness. Okay, you deal with it, you do menachem, and you forget about it. But to think of the way Shiri died and Yossi died, and the 1,200 others that were taken away in the more brutal ways, that not even a director of a movie can even describe or make a movie as bad as Hamas did to the hostages. The hostages were killed in such an inhumane way that in the most, and they filmed it, and that's the worst part of it, that they filmed it. So when all the hostages were buried in Israel, all the people that were killed on October 7, they were buried in caskets. And if you know, and a Jew does not get buried in caskets in the land of Israel, is brought by sheet, but it was just impossible, because who knows what's in the casket. It was very hard to determine the bodies. And the stories of come, and I said to myself, better I didn't know. I better didn't know how they die. Wish I would have known, okay, they die in the field and they die with a bullet in the head, and that would have been easier to. Did they die before their house was burned? Did they die? Were they dead before their house was burned? Did they die during because the house was burned inside the house? We don't know. So I don't hope that better not to know. Like I said, we try to assume, and we try. I don't want to listen. If they want to tell me more, I don't want to listen. Enough is enough. How much can a body suffer? How much can somebody put it to themselves? And I'm going to say, of course, Yarden was seen in a couple of videos with bleeding, taken away with a motorcycle. And then another video when they tell them that Shiri and Ariel and Kfir are not alive. That was in the news. Was not informed publicly in Israel, so that means that we don't know that is true or not. And we hope, and we're going to fight to the last moment, to the last day, that we know that we have them back in Israel, one way or another. We hope they're alive, of course. We want them to be alive. But as we can see, 2 days ago, there were 3 to 4 days ago, there were 100. Now there's only 98. And that is suffering. And they are suffering. They are suffering. And how long can they, for a person in captivity like this, in inhumane conditions, survive? So I wish I could say more about them, but that's it. I mean, Shiri, Ariel, and Kfir actually, they wanted to move out of the Moshav. They were planning to move to the north, close to where the Yarden sister lives, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. They missed the opportunity to actually not be there. And we have the youngest hostage, maybe in history, that is about to celebrate 2 years, 2 birthdays, underground. That means that it's 464 days. He was 8.5 months when he was kidnapped, and now if I could take my calculator here and see how many days, so you know how many days. So 90 days, as 9 months, there's 300 days as a free man, a person, and another 100 and there he is in man. You're showing the pictures, and this is the last, and then you see the pictures of Yarden too. So 2/3 of his life, that's over 300 days that he's been in 400. I'm sorry, there's confusion the days. The 400 and there it is. You see the video that torments me, and how can you tell that somebody 2/3 of his life is being kidnapped at age 2? That is ridiculous. How the world don't even say, no, this is wrong. And what do we hear about the media these days about kidnapped people? What do we hear about them? Nothing. They're talking more about politics. They're talking more about elections. They're talking about this, what's happening in Gaza, what happened in Syria, what happened in all the countries. But how much do we hear about the hostages today? How much? About a deal? We hear about the deal. Talk about the people behind. The people, the real people. About Noah's grandfather. About my great nephew, Kfir, Ariel, my niece, Shiri, and Yarden. About all the other 98, and all the other 94. Then we should talking about those. They don't think like, how can we say that they're living in human conditions? I've been saying at all the speeches I've been doing. I've been saying that I get mad, I cry, I get angry, I scream, I burst, and I have pain in my body, and this and that, and I go crazy. One thing I don't suffer. Because to say that I suffer, I would be embarrassed to say that I suffer. Because 98 people today are suffering for 464 days. And more, there were even more. They were all suffering till they died because they couldn't take it anymore. They were assassinated, they were tortured to death, or they were executed. Those are the ones that were suffering, and they're suffering right now we speak. Those are the ones that are suffering. My suffering is zero next to the suffering.
Thank you. Thank you, Mauricio. This is very, very touching. It's so hard to just listen to you, so just that, brings up so many emotions in everyone, I'm sure. And, your story is very, very shaking. I want to ask Noam to share with us about, how she found out about October 7th, what was her story and about her grandfather and her family. So thank you, Noam, for sharing with us.
So first of all, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about my grandfather and my family in this forum. It's important to note that I'm from Eilat, and both my parents and my grandparents on my dad's side are from Eilat. And on October 7th, there were no alarms in Eilat. But on October 7th, I was with my siblings in Tel Aviv because we were supposed to go to the Bruno Mars concert, which was supposed to be on the same day. And there were alarms on 6:30, and we didn't hear them. So my grandfather on my dad's side called us around 9:30 a.m., trying to contact with us, worrying for us, asking if we're in the safe room and if everything is okay. And at first we were ghosting him because we slept. But later we found out what's happening. He was stressing us out. So we woke up, turned on the news on the TV, right to the moment that Netanyahu like said that there's a war going on, that we're under attack, and that this is a war. So I tried calling both my parents to let them know, but they didn't answer. My mom got back to me like 20 minutes later, saying that's actually ironic. She asked me, what is so important that you're calling me on a Saturday morning to wake me up? Is there a war going on that you're calling me? And and I told her, Mom, there's a war. Yeah, turn on the TV. And she went like, what are you talking about? And I was like, Mom, we can't get out. We're in the dorms of my brother's, my brother's dorms room. We can't get out. I told her all about the terrorists breaking the fence, entering Israel, and told her to watch the news. And that was the last time I talked to her directly for the next week, I guess, because my grandfather is her dad. So I only found out what happened to both my grandparents on October 8th in the evening. What happened is that both my grandparents were in their home in Kibbutz Kisufim, which is around 1 kilometer from Gaza. And they woke up to the 6:30 alarms and got to the safe room. They tried to turn the TV on to understand what's happening, but the TV wouldn't turn on. So my grandmother told my grandfather that she's going to the living room to turn the TV on there to understand what's happening. And later she'll get back to the safe room. So on the way to the living room, the terrorists, like 5 terrorists, barged into the house. They shot the door and the walls. So my grandmother ran to the bathroom. She tried to hide in the bathroom, and some of them went directly to her. And the first thing she said when she saw them was, "Please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me." And one of them told her, "We won't shoot you," and demanded the car keys. Some of them went to the safe room, which is on the other side of their house. They took my grandfather out of the safe room. They handcuffed him, they slapped him. My grandmother asked, "Why are you slapping him? He's an old man. He's done nothing to you." And my grandfather repeated the question, but they didn't answer. They ignored the question and took them both out of the house towards their own car, while my grandfather is still handcuffed and my grandmother is held by her shoulder. And while walking to the car, my grandmother decided in a brave act to shake her shoulder and run to the neighbor's safe room. And luckily she let her in, and that's how she managed to escape. of course, that's not the end of it. They tried calling her out, saying it's Shlomo. They tried setting the neighbor's house on fire, but it miraculously went out. They even RPG'd the house, if I remember correctly. They shot the door, the safe room's door and windows. And my grandmother was sure she's gonna die that day. But her neighbor told her, Mazal is her name. Mazal, believe, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna be rescued, and they got rescued on October 8th, 2 a.m. by the IDF. We didn't know anything about it because my grandmother didn't take her phone. When she ran to the neighbor's safe room, and she doesn't remember phone numbers. So we had no way of knowing where are they and why are they not answering. So my grandmother told my mother on October 8th what happened, and I found out about it through a phone call. She was evacuated to the Dead Sea hotels, and both my parents decided to go there, be with her. And my dad called me Sunday morning, told me to book a flight back home to Eilat from Tel Aviv. And he didn't want to say what happened on the phone. But later that day, they decided to stay with my grandmother in the hotel, and they had no choice but to tell us through the phone the story, and that my grandfather is kidnapped. He was kidnapped without his hearing aid. He doesn't take medicine, but he was taken without his hearing aid, and he was taken weighing only 57 kilograms back then. I want to mention that he is recognized as a Holocaust survivor. He was born in Iraq, and he survived the Farhud massacre, which was very similar to what happened on October 7th. Muslims broke into his parents' house when he was like 3.5. They shot the dog. They beat his parents. They took all the valuables, and he cried and hid in the roof as he watched the neighbor's baby being skewered by another Muslims. And the only reason his family was saved is because a Muslim neighbor didn't let the others come to the house. Like, she physically stopped them from coming inside and attacking the family. My grandfather is the happiest man I know. He never let what he went through define his life. I actually didn't know anything about it before he was kidnapped. He never told us about that. He's a very welcoming and loving person, and every time me and my family went to the kibbutz, he always welcomed us with the widest smile and the biggest hug, just waiting to spend time with us. He always wandered around the kibbutz with us. He loved teaching us about the history of the kibbutz. He made Aliyah when he was 13, and he lived in the kibbutz for the last 70 years. Since he was 16, he met my grandmother there, and they were supposed to celebrate their 60th wedding anniversary, but he got kidnapped. It was last March. He's also a very well-known carpenter, and he's very known in the community of the kibbutz, and he's very missed. And since October 7th, since my grandmother ran to the neighbor's safe room, we have no information about him, not about his physical state or his mental state. And yeah, he's the oldest hostage and the only hostage from Kibbutz Kisufim.
Wow. One of the questions that we wanted to ask Mauricio is after October 7th, few days after, how the family, after they realized that Shiri, the boys, and Yarden were kidnapped, what did you do? Like, as a family, did you plan to go out to the street to protest? What was your activity right after October 7th?
And the same question goes to you, Noam, after
Yeah.
Mauricio.
Mauricio, you're on mute.
I try to
Okay,
hear
was
it.
that Alexa?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what happened. So the question out here, I feel like my whole family is in Israel. The direct family is in Israel, like I said. I'm here alone, and I, of course, always worry about their sake every time there is a war in Israel. I serve in the military, and even though I'm 68, I will go fight again. And I said it many times. I said, "Oh, you're crazy." And so I wanted to go back. And the forums like yours have not been created yet. So the support that I got was 100% from my own family here, especially my wife. She's been very, very supportive. There were phone calls on and on in Israel, and I wanted to know basically how they are doing. There's a war in Israel, so I want to know, make sure that they're safe too. So just to go back to when my brother-in-law were buried. So we saw Shiva in my house. We have a part of the house that is actually a part of the house that is not the house. And I thought, okay, the minyan, the rabbis of the Chabad, they will come here. They came with the books and 10 Sidurim or 15 Sidurim, and we will have a minyan. I expected 10, 15 people to a small apartment that I have here, small room. And people start coming and coming and coming. And for the Shiva, that was Monday. I think it was Monday because there were 5 days. So that day, there were so many people who come in. I said, well, we can't stay in this little room. We have to go to the main house. So it connects, and I brought everybody to the big living room or dining room that we have here. So that first day, about 150 to 175 people came in. The second day was over 200, maybe 250, then 300, then 350. So we counted, wrote in the book, about 800 people came here to do Menachem. So that's Menachem, the meaning of the word, to give somebody, the grieving help. People make me smile. People sang. The religious, for the most secular people to the most religious people, Jews came here with, not only Jews too, but with the biggest payers to nothing. They came here to give me Menachem, for the Shiva, my sister and my brother-in-law. And that gave me a work. Menachem works.
To comfort you.
They comfort me, and I can say it, I was happy, and I wanted to make them coffee because I like to make coffees and this, and I know you see it, and they make me tell the stories, and I was telling stories about everything, and people were sitting around me, and it was a wonderful, with all the sadness, I think it was a wonderful week to see the love, the unity. I called it the Achdut. And one thing I said, that they didn't come here to do a Menachem just for me, for the Shiva of me. They came here for the Shiva of all the 1,200 that were murdered that day. And that's the way it was. And I told everybody, you're not here just for me. You're here for all Am Israel. The Achdut. And that was it. It was a good feeling to know that we belong to people that maybe that's why they hate us so much, that we can unify ourselves too so much with you and to protect us, to encourage us, to make us feel better, to do rallies, to do these webinars that you're doing now, that we are not alone and we just here sitting and just hoping for a miracle. I still do. I mean, I still have my moments that I just completely go down and I try to find something to do so I distract my brain from doing anything. I talked to my family, and I've been in Israel twice since that happened. And I know we are a very happy family. We are a very silly family. We are a very big family, and a lot of kids. I have a lot of nephews, a lot of grandnephews. They're all happy. They all like to get together, but that happiness that they're showing now, and it's the same in all Israel, is not the same. It's a different happiness. It's a different reality. It's an alternative reality. It will never be the same. But like I said, it will never be the same. We have to make sure that after all this suffering, after all what happened October 7, and I've been lecturing this so many times, that to make sure that we never forget October 7 and we just become better. And we continue being disunited after all the hostages come back and we forget about these wars, and hopefully we don't have another. So that is our hope, that it will be October 7 wouldn't just go in vain. Like we should not forget the Holocaust, even 9/11, I say. So again, thank you for continue doing this for us and the fight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is very, very powerful. Noam, do you want to refer to that question about how
Can
you
you repeat the question though?
Yeah, it's how your family came together, to support yourself. Like Mauricio said in the beginning, there was no such a thing like a family hostage forum or no organization to support you guys. So what happened inside your family? How did you guys, come together to help each other?
So my grandfather is the one who keeps the family together. So after October 7th, the family was torn. And I was actually stuck in Eilat for like 2 months, a month and a half. I study in the center of Israel in Ramat Gan, and my dad wouldn't let me to get back to my dorms room because there were the semester hasn't started. And he told me just stay in Eilat, you can't go anywhere. So I got stuck in Eilat and I felt really alone because my friends, they wanted to support me, but they didn't know how to do that. After I found out my grandfather is kidnapped, I actually called to the only friend I knew was in Eilat in the same time. I called her and immediately started crying, saying, please get me out of here. I don't know what to do. And she didn't even understand where I was till I told her I don't want to be at my house. I didn't even know what she was saying. I just cried the whole time. And she was there to support me. But after a month and a half, I got accepted to a special program, מלגה, אני לא יודעת איך אומרים את זה באנגלית.
Scholarship.
A scholarship.
Scholarship.
Where you work, it was a special scholarship because of October 7th. People were evacuated from the Gaza envelope, so they brought students to work in the agriculture. So I got accepted with my brother, and it was the most fulfilling month since October 7th. I felt very helpful. I felt like I could finally do something, and that I don't have to be depressed all the time with myself, sitting crying in my room in Eilat, in my house, not doing anything. I actually felt like I could finally do something. Then after the scholarship ended, the semester has started, so I got back to Ramat Gan in Tel Aviv, and then I got to the Families Forum. I connected with Shlomo's sister. Her name is Hadassah. And she introduced me to the Hostel Square and the Families Forum headquarters. And this is where I'm actually at right now. And since then, it's been over a year that I'm here.
So thank you, Noam, for this. Our next question is for both. I'll ask Noam to answer it first, and then Maurice. So this is a question we were debating when to ask it, but since several people were asking about it, we'll ask it now. This is related to what can we do from outside of Israel. So as you all know, this is really a critical time. It's always a critical time. Every day, every moment is a critical time. But there has been things that have changed a little bit. For example, you know, the head of the public health in Israel, Professor Chagai Levin, came out with a statement a few weeks ago that we must release them now because the first winter that they survived, they still had reserves and a little bit of fat, but now they are so sick that they may not survive, especially older people like Shlomo, the second winter, which is happening right now. In addition to this, there are other factors, Trump being in power in the next, and again, we're not going into politics, but there is an administration change. Just yesterday, we have heard that the government has sent the leaders of the Shin Bet, or the Shabak, the Internal Security Services, and the Mossad to Doha, to Qatar, to really go to the next stage of all of everything, all the negotiations. So we are in a really critical time. And of course, we have to remember also that 2 more hostages were murdered or were found murdered, the Al-Zaidani family and Zichronam Levracha, father and son. So this is a critical time. And a question to Noam and to Maurice is, what can we do from the United States, from Australia, from Europe? What can we do to help, to push more pressure and bring him down back home now?
So I always say, keep talking about it. Talk to your community. Now you know another story of another hostage. You can follow their Instagram pages, share on your social media accounts. Talk to your leaders of your community. Just don't make people forget it. Like, never stop talking about it. Push for, like, don't stop talking about it. Push for someone to do something, you know? You can go out to rallies. You can, like, do like what you do here. Listen to us. Just don't make the subject disappear. You know what I mean? Just, yeah, keep doing those stuff.
Thank you, Mauricio. Do you want to add on that?
You hear me? You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so like here, you said that you belong to a group also that has to do with anti-Semitism. So the problem here is that the people that watch this, and not only Jews, but the whole world, to know what the reality, why we don't hear about the hostages anymore, why we don't hear about the hostages. We hear more about that poor in Gaza, what poor conditions they are. But of course, our families are also going through even more than the people that are above ground, because they're underground. And if they are starving, people complain, oh, the Palestinians are starving. I'm sure they are, but don't blame it on Israel, but blame it on Hamas. And Israel is fighting people, the world should know why we're fighting the Palestinians. We're fighting the Palestinians because that's what they need. They spread it in the media, and that the Hamas infiltrated inside between the Palestinians, and Israel can know. We can go, okay, Hamas, please raise your hand, and you are the ones that we're gonna go and shoot. You know, of course they're hiding. They're going to be the last ones to stand up. And the world has to understand that if a Palestinian says something about Hamas, that person is not alive anymore. That's what they need to understand. They need to understand that Hamas is not just a terror organization. They actually don't give a crap about Palestinians. All they cares about their interests. It's like a big mafia organization. That's what terrorism is. It's Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and all those organizations backed by Iran, and the pressure should go after Iran is weakening now. Syria is probably gone. Hope that good things come out of it. But we need to fight anti-Semitism. And here in the US, we face it a lot. In Israel too, I'm sure. But if I go to a rally and I see the people protesting, they are pro-Palestinians, half of them are actually anti-Semites, taking a right with the pro-Palestinians to say, yeah, we're pro-Palestinians, but they're actually the anti-Semites, and they're looking for any opportunity, for any occasion, for anything to go against Jews, against Israel. And I have said that even half the people, even more, that are protesting against Israel for what it's doing to Palestine, the genocide. Talk about genocide in other press. I mean, Russia's genocide in Ukraine, and the Houthis and Qatar and all those Darfur and all those places. Look how many people are being killed over there by their own people, but nobody says anything about it. Israel is committing genocide. Half of the people that go to those rallies and they say pro-Palestinians are anti-Semites. And if you ask them in a map, show a globe, show a map, without using your phone, where is Palestine? And I give you 100%, I guarantee you 100%, they don't even know where Palestine is. They don't even know what Gaza is. They don't even know the story of Palestine, how they became refugees, how they read some history, and then compare about Israel committing genocide. What Israel has been going through for centuries, not just from the creation of the state of Israel. It's for centuries that they've been trying to wipe the Jewish religion, but sorry, every time you try to do it, we're going to be stronger. So tough luck with that. So the media has to, and the forums, what you do now, it's like you said, that we're going to go to DC. I asked Michal, what would be the purpose? Going to be a rally in DC? It's to people, to show that we will spread the word that Israel has the right to exist. Israel wants to be fought from every direction for many years, and it will never stop. And a seal needs to be signed. And terrorism, Hamas, or any other one that will come after that, there will be another day to take care of them, to fight them. The lives of the hostages don't have that opportunity. They're dying by the minute, they're dying by the second. Even if it's not physically, even if it's still alive, mentally, physically, and anything we can explain. Can you imagine how these people are going to come out of there? If you ask me, how am I dealing with it? And how is it affecting me? Yeah, it has affected me. I'm sure I'm not the same person that I was before. And I told my wife from the beginning, please, if you see that I'm changing, please let me know. I want to be the same clown, the same funny guy. I want to be the same angry guy, the same grumpy guy that I always was, and in a good way. And imagine what the hostages are going through. how long it's going to take for them to recuperate, being 464 days, and it's probably going to be more because tomorrow will be 465. I don't know, to see a 9-month-old baby growing, learning to walk on dirt, crying for his pacifier, Ariel not having his Batman cape because he likes to do that, his green tractor that is waiting for him. This story. There's one story to tell about. They didn't burn the Bibas house. They won them. They knew exactly who they were, and no one would know. They have collaborators, people that work for the kibbutz. When these people that were so secular and they were so left wing, and they wanted to show, yes, we look, Palestinians, we can live with you. We can live, we can coexist with you. We believe in you. We see your suffering and everything. We want to help you. They hired them, and then they called Palestine the maps of. They knew exactly where the roads were and who lived where, and the houses. They knew everything in Kibbutz Niro, especially. They knew everybody where everybody was. They knew where the Bibas were. They knew. They didn't burn their house. This is a story. I remember that one, that Yarden was shooting from the safety room, had his rifle. He was shooting from the inside out, and the bullets, you can tell, the bullets go out, but there are no bullets going in. They finished the magazine, they broke the door, and they took them. So they purposely knew exactly to take that beauty to mess us up, to make us suffer. There you go. There you go. No, nobody in the world, come on. I don't wish this to anybody, what you see in the shit is going through. But you know what? That may happen to anybody in the world if we don't get rid of terrorism. It can happen to anybody.
Mauricio, Kfir's birthday is next week on the 18th. We marking his second birthday. You and the family, how would you like to see us help you mark his birthday?
I'm sorry, repeat the question, I'm sorry.
You and the family, how would you like us, the community here in Philadelphia and around the world, because we have a lot of people here, or not only from Philadelphia.
To everybody is to tell them that, look, millions of people celebrated Kfir's first birthday, the happiest days in a Mother's Day on their life. To the first birthday, the big cake like you show. Millions of people celebrating that red hair's birthday, except him. Millions of people celebrated Ariel's birthday, Kfir's birthday, except him. Now, maybe the second birthday. I say, okay, we missed the picture. One day B'ezrat Hashem, he would grow up and see the picture. Says, who doesn't like to go through pictures? Say, look, this is your first birthday cake, and there's your gift, and you have your hat, your birthday hat, and the gift, and everything else. He didn't have a cake. He didn't have a hat. He didn't have gifts. He didn't have anything. Maybe she didn't even know when his birthday was, because she couldn't count the days. So we have to make sure, if it's not the second, it's 18, it's before the 20th. Maybe it will be the third, but it has to be that one day you will say, okay, sorry that it happened to you. And most of the hostages have had their second birthday already as hostages, and second ones. We promise you, we have to say we're going to fight, so you have the next one will be as a free person.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. This is just unbelievable. And I think that the fact that, we brought you as the great uncle of the youngest hostage. And on the other hand, we brought, Noam as the granddaughter of the oldest hostage. That's just, two extremes that are just unbelievable. If it wasn't real, I would have never believed that could happen. So thank you for sharing that. And shortly,
what's funny?
Mm-hmm.
That my grandfather read a book called Hakarish, the shark.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't get to finish the book, but he got to a page that explains exactly what happened to him. Like the story is happening in Israel, and Hezbollah and Hamas are attacking Israel and kidnapping people from their homes. And he stopped at the page that tells how Hamas are taking people from their homes.
Wow, this is just insane. It's just like, you think it's just
And I'm hoping he comes back to read the rest.
Yeah.
The ending.
unbelievable. No, we wanted to ask you about your grandmother. How is she doing? Where is she right now? What kind of support is she getting?
So after 11 months, she moved with the community from the Dead Sea hotels to Omer, which is near Beersheba. She's there with the community. Most of the time she knits and she watches TV, the news. She lives in the trauma. It's really difficult for her to do anything else. It got to the point that she even denies that she's in trauma. She refuses to see
Therapist.
therapists. She thinks she doesn't need them. And yeah, that's what she needs. That's what she does.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Your stories are really, again, like I said, I feel like if it wasn't real, I would never believe that that could be. We're very hopeful, every time when a delegation goes to Doha, we're very hopeful that, this time it's real. And again, oftentimes we put our hopes up and then, unfortunately nothing really happens. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that shakes you? It shakes us all up, but I'm sure as a family member, this really is just like a roller coaster to you. So tell us a little more about that. Whoever wants to start.
Go ahead.
I'm going first. Okay. I try to stay out of the news because it's an emotional roller coaster. Sorry. And I just try to stay out of it so I don't get disappointed later. And I always say until they call me and tell me, hey, your grandfather is gonna be out soon, I will not believe any of it.
That's exactly right. No, we live exactly the same way. I don't listen to the news either. Try not to. Like I said, I don't have regular TV. There are regular channels. It has Netflix and Prime, whatever. The TV is off most of the day. But I read the headlines maybe of the newspaper, and that's about it. If most of the news I'm trying to get from Israel, because you know better, and from especially my two nephews, because they're more involved in that than anybody else in the family. And you know Jimmy probably, and You saw Yossi there before in one of the videos. And the same thing, don't want to get super excited. It's like today, maybe we're 5 minutes away from it, like I explained to you from a deal, but that can be an eternity. So we don't want to, we don't, yeah, we're super excited that, yeah, it's going to happen. And then it doesn't. So we are just taking it, like you said, no, when we hear from them, they're in a bus crossing the border from Gaza to Israel, then we will know that, yeah, it's actually happening. We are in the hands of, we do as much as, with your help, as much as we can do. And I hope that cake will say Kfir, 2-year-old here in Israel. He deserves it. We've been living, and I said to myself that I'm stuck in the last page of a book that I'm reading for 464 days, and I'm reading the same page over and over and over and over. I cannot close that book. We need to close the book, that the hostages come back one way or another, and that would be the day that we start the new book, our new life. The world will be, and we just try to make it better. And once that thing I said, talking of anti-Semitism, that my family, I belong to 5 generations of being persecuted. My family of being persecuted because we're Jews. My grandfather was in the Holocaust. My mother was in the Holocaust. My sister Margaret, the 3rd generation, was killed because she was Jew. Shiri was taken because she was Jew. And Ariel and Kfir were taken because they were Jewish. So that's 5 generations being persecuted because we're Jewish. And I told to a cousin of mine that lives in the US, her mother was in the Holocaust together with my mother. They were very young age, almost same age, but she was her niece actually. And I told her from the beginning, if my mother did it, being in the Holocaust, and she created a family and she lived a honorable life, and I said we should be able to do it too. So just don't give up. We continue fighting, and we will just try to be better people, better persons, and better to each other, especially, and just continue. You are my family. You're in the forum. I say we have become. I say when my sister, like I mentioned, that close to 800 people came to the ship of my sister, and I said I lost my sister, but I have gained all of you as families. And now it's like thousands of you, but all I'm Israel is like we are one big family. I earned all of you as my own family.
Am Israel Chai, really.
I'm Israel.
And I will just say, this is, as you can see on the picture, I'm sharing a picture from the event that Daphne and Michal arranged last year when he had his birthday. And unfortunately, it's likely that we're going to celebrate his birthday again, celebration, next Sunday. Again, every community, but our community here led by Michal and Daphne on the 19th, and more information later on. And I just wanted to, I think that we're going to conclude. And I wanted
Can I add something though?
Yeah, exactly. I was about to ask if any of you, Noam and Maurice, have any last comments, anything that you want to share at all. And one more thing before you go, Noam. Lori from the Netherlands, from Rotterdam, joined us, and she was asking if you can repeat the name of the book that Shlomo was reading.
Yeah, it's Hakarish, the shark.
The shark, Hakarish.
Yeah. I don't know who wrote it, but I can search for it like right now.
Yes.
What do you want to add?
What comments do you have, Noam?
Okay, so I just want to add that my grandfather's favorite dessert is ice cream, specifically pistachio flavored ice cream. So on his birthday, which is March 17th, we asked people around the world to eat ice cream to celebrate his birthday and tug us, and we got like hundreds of people, like hundreds of people were tagging us on Instagram. So every time you eat ice cream, I want to ask you to think about my grandfather and do it for him. And also I want to say that 2 months ago, I released a song dedicated to him. It's called The Whisper. You can find it on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Apple Music. It was written 1 month after October 7th. And it was released 1 year after it was written. And yeah, that's it.
I want to meet your grandfather, Noam, and I will take that mustache, beautiful mustache he has, and I want to roll it up. Okay.
There's also one more comment in Hebrew from Sarah, who is concentrating a lot of the activities in Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Brazil, all of South America, and they are worried and they are sending you big hugs. You know, we have Lori from the Netherlands, we have us from the United States, Sarah from South America, and we're thinking every day of your family members, every single day, and praying to bring them back home. And you are not alone. We are with you. Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who was here with us during this webinar. Thank you for arranging it. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for giving me
you.
the opportunity to do so.
Thank you, Noam.
Be strong, Noam and Maurice, and Toda, Daphne and Michal.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
for joining.
thank you, and hopefully we
Yeah,
don't need more of these.
This week, we'll hear
Amen.
good news, hopefully.
Alevai. Everybody, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
ביי. יאיר, רגע.
Yes, I'm here.
אתה יכול לעשות זום רק ארבעתנו שנייה?
שנייה רגע.
Yeah, we can stay. I don't know how to. There are people who are just gonna. So this is all the attendees. Just the panelists are staying. So you could leave. We just wanted to say a few words in Hebrew to each other. כן, מיכל.
אתם צריכים אותנו?
רק רציתי להגיד לכם, שניכם, תודה רבה. אנחנו לא נפסיק, אנחנו נמשיך לעשות מה שצריך לעשות, כדי לתמוך בכם ולהיות איתכם. המאבק שלכם זה המאבק שלנו. נועם, היית מדהימה ונהדרת, האנגלית שלך הייתה מצוינת. המון תודה.
יש לך אנגלית מצוינת, כן, באמת.
כן, נכון. מוריסיו, אנחנו מתכננים לעשות משהו שבוע הבא בשביל כפיר. יש לך הרבה אהבה ונשיקות מדבורה, שגם איתה אני בקשר. היא בדיוק עכשיו סימסה לי, היא אמרה שהיא מאוד אוהבת אותך.
אני אגיד לך בסיפור בינינו, כשאני הייתי ילד קטן, האחים שלי אמרו לי, אתה מאומץ, כי הם היו בלונדינים, עיניים ירוקות, ואני הייתי שחור יותר. חשבתי בגיל 5-6, לא יודע איזה גיל, אני אמצא את ההורים שלי אמיתיים, כי כל כך אמרו לי. אבל שדבורה אחר כך נולדה, אומרים, לא, תראה, לא הייתי מאומץ, כי ממש דומה לי.